This is the VisionMaster series. This is a sister brand of AWOL Vision who make incredibly good projectors. Now the main difference with this projector compared to the Max is the fact that this doesn't have the dynamic iris and it doesn't have the vertical lens shifting, but it does have optical zoom, and it is also 3000 ISO lumens, and it has 15,000:1 contrast ratio. This projector is exceptionally well packaged, and it does need to be because the projector itself weighs 7 kilos because it's made of metal. And I'll show you that in just a second. In the box you get all of your controls and also the manual. If you're wondering about the colour, well, this is called Elegant Grey. All of the individual models of the VisionMaster series have their own unique colour so that you can tell them apart, which I think is quite a nice touch. Now on the side you'll see those metal grills, the lines that go all the way around. At the back of the projector you've got a little housing, which again is a nice feature that you can close away for all of your different connections. I don't really see the point of that because you do have to power this thing, and the power adapter is in there too, and so therefore it will always be open. The VisionMaster Max, Pro and Pro 2 all have optical zoom, and that is 0.9 to 1.5 to 1. This is a really great feature and one that you don't often see on projectors in this price point. On the back of the connections, well, they're all, as I said before, hidden behind that drop-down door. But they're all connections that you're going to need. There's the power, the optical audio, USB 3, USB 2, 3 HDMI 2.1s, one of these being HDMI eARC. There's also a headphone port and a LAN connection, as well as a power on and off button. On the bottom of the projector, as well as a standard tripod mount, again, you'll need a decent tripod. There's this quite difficult to lower down kickstand, but once you have got it down, you can adjust the position, and this makes positioning the projector in multiple positions very, very easy. Now, you've also got an accessory box, and in there, as well as your standard power adapter, and there is no separate brick, all of that is built into the projector, which goes some way to explain why it weighs what it does. There's also a dust cloth, and you finally got one of the best remote controls I've seen on a projector, although there is one gripe that I've got. It's not fully backlit, which is a little bit strange. There's around 7 buttons which do light up, and you can operate most of the projector all of the time with those buttons, but things like the volume control, they're not backlit, and that for me is just a little bit of a mistake. With auto screen detection, auto keystone and autofocus, setting up of this projector is super straightforward, but one thing that sets it apart from many others is having that optical zoom. Now this will seamlessly work within the optical zoom range, so therefore you're getting zero loss in picture quality because of the optical zoom. And there's also a seamless digital zoom, so if you do have to creep into that, well then it will adjust and fit the screen size. It will automatically focus and get everything set up for you. I've got this set up in a bright room so that you can see what it can deliver in the brightest of environments. I've got lights on within the room, there's lights to the side and underneath the screen, and also that blind on the left hand side is wide open, so it's not going to really get any brighter than this, but the picture quality is incredible. Here you can see it's an incredible image, but the one thing that's really impressed me is the sharpness. It is so pin sharp. It is probably one of the best that I've seen. And when you do darken the room, well, then the picture obviously just gets better and better. But the one thing I noticed with this projector is the brightness compared to the contrast and also the sharpness. It didn't really lose any detail. There was the odd scene in the highlighted areas where I just felt it was slightly too bright and ended up just dialing back the luminance when I was in the dark room. But again, that is a very nice problem to have, believe me. But I do have to say, I think it was the sharpness which really blew my mind more than the brightness, whereas on some other projectors I've been blown away by the brightness and the sharpness has been a secondary factor. Screen uniformity is perfect on this projector with no dark areas in any of the corners. And when it comes to focus, again, all 4 corners were crystal clear and sharp. I did find that I did have to just dial back the greens very, very slightly and also dial back the reds. But once I'd done that, I was very happy with the result. I set the colour temperature to warm too, as I felt that that gave the best result, and in laser luminance I actually dialed that back slightly, so I made it slightly less bright, and a setting of around 8 or 9 gave this result. It was just the highlighted areas just didn't pop quite as much, and it looked far more natural. It didn't feel that you lost any brightness to the screen, you just didn't get those peak brightness areas, which just looked a little bit unnatural. The projector is almost silent in its operation, and you certainly won't hear it even in the quietest of scenes. I was was getting a room reading of around 25 to 27 with it not turned on, and around 30 to 32 with it being on. The two 12-watt speakers deliver an okay sound, and with Google TV installed already, then you don't need anything else plugged into this, maybe just your cable or satellite box, but all of the apps are there, and that obviously is great to have. Summer friends, I hope that the impressiveness of this projector has come across in this video. It really is truly incredible, and without doubt, I think is one of the best projectors that I've seen in the last year.